No. Stop, kitties.
York, New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
Yep. Here we go, man. What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from Knick Of Time Show. Here, give you that Knicks talk just for Knick of Time. I'm here with my guys, Ryan G's in the building, the Latin Assassin, the Escobedo, and we're just gonna get right to it. Right, the Knicks lose to the Heat in Game 4, 109 to 101, and I know these guys are gonna get into the stats and the facts and the breakdown and all that stuff, but I just want to start off the show by saying, the Knicks, the Heat, you gotta give them credit, man. You gotta give them credit. The Heat are an experienced team, and their experience showed today. It was a tough game. It was a rough game. The Knicks fought. They fought their tail off. They fought their tail off. We was in this game, even though it looked like it was getting outplayed. We were in this game for the entire game. I feel like this is one of those types of games where the pain long term for us might be good for building this team, because it's funny, this Heat team has Bam Adebayo, they have Jimmy Butler, and they have a lot of role players. Nobody's really extravagant on that team, but they're starring in their role, and they've executed their role perfectly. And in our team, we have a lot of talent, a lot of young talent that are still learning to perfect their role. And I think, to me, that experience and that perfection that they've grown over time started to show today. And you gotta give them credit. We gotta give them credit. But also the Knicks fought, man. The Knicks fought. This is probably the best game they've played all series, and we still came up a little bit short. There's still certain things we have to clean up, and I'm pretty sure you guys are going to talk about it. But you know what? It hurts. It definitely hurts to lose this game in Miami, considering we were right there. We had good contributions from Grimes, from Jalen Brunson, uh, from RJ Barrett. We had some frustrating things happen, but we were right in the thick of it. But we're gonna talk about it, man. We definitely gonna talk about it. We're down, definitely down, but not out. But it's gonna be a long climb, and it's looking bleak right now. But you know what? These tough times are what make teams in the long term. I still saw some things I liked, and hopefully, even through some of the painful losses, we take something from those losses and we build it to another game. So, let's talk about the game, man. What's going on, Lee, man? I'll start with you today. What do you feel? How do you feel about the game? The good, the bad, the ugly. What's your thoughts?
I learned during the Carmelo Anthony era not to over-attach myself to a Knick, whether it's a coach, GM, or player, because I got into a lot of drunken arguments at bars with some of the people I love the most, including my dad, on the merits of Carmelo Anthony, whether he was a superstar, whether he was clutch, whether he could be a first option. And after, it wore me out emotionally.
Mm.
And I told myself I'm never going to do that again. So now I try to bring a balanced approach to every player, whether I have an affinity for them or I don't, or head coach or GM. I try to stay neutral and not necessarily have a love or a hate relationship with the guys on this roster. That way I'm able to critique as objective as I can. There's always going to be some implicit bias there, but I try my best.
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau has been rightly outcoached. But I gotta say, man, the Fire Tibbs crowd is some of the most obnoxious, disingenuous, annoying people on Twitter.
I stopped. I stopped. I stopped congregating. I just checked
It
out.
comes, you can just feel the hate. It's a personal vendetta against him. And I've asked multiple people now, on my way home, trying to figure out what would you have done differently. And I haven't gotten a single response thematically how they would have coached this game differently than Tom Thibodeau. I actually thought Tibbs coached a good game. He did what I wanted him to do. I think the one thing I wish more of is more Deuce McBride. I wish Deuce McBride's minutes would have been between 18 and 25, but he played him. He gave him a shot to see what he could bring off the bench. And he started Quentin Grimes, which was my number one adjustment I hoped he would have done, was to put Grimes back in the starting lineup because Hart has a certain personality that leads that second unit, especially now that IQ was not playing. You really need that personality off the bench, and Grimes is a better shooter and a better glue guy offensively. He doesn't need shots as after shots, but if he's open, he'll take it, and he's the best three-point shooter on a team for a team that has very poor spacing. Tom Thibodeau has been outcoached in every single capacity in the series because the Knicks have the more talent, but the Heat are more disciplined, more intelligent, and more cohesive on the offensive and defense side. But who do you replace Thibs with that outcoaches Spo? Johnny Bryant's getting swept. Any other name that you have out there, any other free agent, has either suffered mightily this season, like a Nick Nurse who lost the team and got fired, or Mike Budenholzer who failed to Spo and dropped in the first round. There's no guy out there that you replace Thibs with that gets us out of this round because that team is too well coached, have too much continuity. They're too high IQ. He's got undrafted guys out there drilling threes, playing team defense, and not missing a single rotation. Thibs is not perfect, but the answer is not firing them and hoping that Johnny Bryant wins you a championship in 2 years. That is a short-sighted, ridiculous point of view. But the man is flawed. The fact that Thibs is now 0-7 when he's down 2-1, that is a sign of a not elite coach in the postseason. He's an elite regular season coach. He's a winner in the regular season. He's above average and well above average in the regular season. But in the playoffs, he's average as best. If you can't come back 2-1, you don't have that necessary instinct to adjust on the fly and be able to do what you need to do to change the direction of a series. So there's good and there's bad.
I always go back to coaching versus personnel, right? But to me, had way more personnel than we even had to get beat the way he did. The Bucks have better defensive guys on their team, top to bottom, and the Heat averaged 125 points per game. They playing the Knicks, and they scored. This is the highest they scored, 109 points. So, for me, when I'm looking at this team and looking at the way Thibs has played, I do feel like Thibs has been outcoached. Yes, today I don't really feel that he's been outcoached. He's kind of is like you don't have IQ, so you're playing Brunson 40-something minutes. You put Grimes in there. I don't think there is much differently he can have done. I don't think I feel like everything we needed him to do today is what he did. The ball moved a little bit more, even though we couldn't shoot shots. Grimes started. The defense was a lot better. We just couldn't get rebounds, and I think that was a product of just being gassed and those guys hitting threes and just being out of position. So I don't think he got outcoached today. I definitely think maybe that second, third game, yes, I can say, yeah, I can see Spoelstra's name on it. This game, I can't say Thibs got outcoached. I do feel like the experience of Miami, though, is really shining through. Like if we have Grimes, if we fast forward Grimes' progression next year, where Grimes is a better defender and a more reliable three-point shooter, it might be a different team. We fast forward IQ from this year to next year in the playoffs when he takes his lump, he might be better. Those guys have been to playoffs already. Those guys have done it already. This is why I was more confident fighting against the Cavs who were green, because we were also kind of green. So, I don't blame everything on Thibs. I look at it, okay, this part I feel like Thibs has his hand in, but you know what? The Heat have grown and they're better too. And even Bam is better than he was last year. You like Bam this year. Bam last year isn't gonna be as aggressive. Bam last year isn't gonna be hitting those mid range like he is this year. So it's personnel, it's experience, but it's not all Thibs. I'm sorry, Ryan. I know you haven't spoken in a while. I know you want to get your stuff off.
Honestly, I don't have a lot to say. The Miami Heat are a tougher team. They're a more physical team. They play with way more effort.
Yes.
And they have experience on their side. I think people have to take into account that they have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and even the role players on that team. they're battle tested. They've already been in these kind of situations before, whereas us, as opposed to the Knicks players, a lot of them, this is their first time in the second round. So
Mhm.
they're just getting exposed to this type of playoff intensity. So I think this is going to be a learning moment for these young guys going forward
Yeah.
into the future, because they're going to be a perennial playoff team with the way the roster is set up at the moment. But besides that, like, if you look at the stats, like, both teams shot well from the field, almost shot the same, almost shot like the same percentage from 3-point range. The Heat were a bit better. They hit 13 threes, and the Knicks hit 9 threes. Rebounding, again, this is usually a metric that the Knicks usually killed the opposing team in. They got out rebounded by 9 rebounds.
Yeah.
That fourth quarter, the Heat were racing to every loose ball. I think the Heat had like 6 or 7 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter by itself. Even though I do attribute it to maybe the Knicks being a bit gassed and they just didn't have the energy to get to those balls,
That's
and
what I'm thinking.
The Knicks rotation was kind of stretched out a bit, just for the simple fact that they didn't have IQ. So you had guys playing more minutes than they usually would play in a game. And then on top of the playoff intensity, the guys were probably tired in the fourth quarter, but they were just out hustled tonight. And like Lee said about the Fire Thibs crowd, like, honestly, I thought Thibs could do. I thought Thibs did everything he could. Like, I don't really have an issue with Thibs coaching tonight. It's just that, what can you do when the team you're facing is just, like, you cannot coach effort. Like, the Heat were just quicker to lose balls.
Yeah.
They were the ones who got the second chance opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks, again, like, I do think if the Knicks 3-point shooting was better, they probably would fare better in this series. But
Mm.
I mean, Coach Thibs can't get these guys to knock in threes. Like, he can't make these guys shoot the ball and get into the basket. Like, that's not Thibs'
Yeah.
fault.
We're missing open threes. Like, did you
Yeah,
see
yeah,
the
that's what I'm
threes
saying.
that the Heat made?
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
The threes that Heat made, they weren't like, oh, we just didn't close out. No, they
Klay
consistently for
Thompson.
like 2 quarters were like clone Klay Thompson. It was just like,
Yep.
what do you do? And I kind of, I'm, I kind of almost are kind of proud of the team, because usually when that happens to teams, they get demoralized and they stop fighting and they stop closing out. But they kept closing out and they kept trying to close out. It's just the rebounding issue became too big for me. And now usually that's what happens when a team shoots a lot of threes. Those long rebounds are kind of a little bit unpredictable. And then when you're scrambling as a defensive team, you're out of position a lot. So that it kind of hurt us. Those threes kind of, like, you notice a lot of those threes were just foul line and extended rebounds that we missed. So we have to clean that up. But man, we're learning, man. We're learning. We're right there. My only thing is, if we had this type of game last game, maybe it would be a little bit different, because I much rather the feel and the flow of this game than what was going on last game, with the ball movement. Like, Brunson had 30 and 11 assists. I don't think Brunson's going to have like many 30, 11 assist games where he loses. You know what I mean? Our big three had over 20. Our bench still seems to be an issue. Obi only played 5 minutes. IQ didn't play at all. So we're kind of thin. But, the feel of the game plan, I feel like it was solid. It was solid.
Yeah.
I feel like Bam, pushing the pace more, got Bam off of Julius Randle, because Bam pretty much locked Julius Randle up all last game. I feel like pushing the pace more got Bam to be on Mitch and be on other people sometimes. And Randle was able to get into the post and post up Strus and whoever, and they got the ball moving that way. Like, we had a solid game. We did a lot better executing this game than we did last game. The Heat answered the bell. They did. They just answered the bell. So what can you do? What can you do with that when they answer the bell? So you tip their hat off. You tip your hat off to the Heat. You lick your wounds, and you go into the next game and you try to replicate the same thing, and hopefully, the home crowd gives you a little bit of juice. You hit some threes, you get some stops, and hopefully you turn this thing around. That's what we can do at this point.
Yeah, there were some bright spots. RJ Barrett, definitely a bright spot. I think that Jalen Brunson, while he was inefficient for the majority of his season and obviously hobbled, I did like the amount of heart that he showed to play injured and continue to try to battle and get in the paint, even though Miami was building a wall to collapse in the post when he was driving in. I like the fortitude that he had. He really did try to put the team on his shoulders in crunch time and delivered, but it was just, he was outmatched. It's really hard to try to counter 3-pointers with 2-pointers. Yeah. And trying to improve the spacing, which I hope we talked about this offseason with the starting 5 and the bench, needs to be priority number 1, because Tom Thibodeau is not going anywhere. I said it from the beginning of the season when I hated him at his highest, that he will finish out this contract. This team seems to care too much about continuity to disrupt it enough to fire him and elevate Johnny Bryant. They might elevate Johnny Bryant when his contract's over, but he's not going to be fired, and he shouldn't be fired for losing the series, in my opinion, which honestly is probably going to surprise a lot of people, because who the hell is going to outcoach Eric Spoelstra? Yeah. They had the best coach and the best player in the series, and when it came down to it, they ended up having the second best player in the series too, in Bam Adebayo. Not just because of his scoring, his offensive rebounding, and his playmaking in the mid-range destroyed us. Yeah. Their open 3-point shots were primarily on Jimmy and Bam playmaking, and that mid-range opportunity when that drop coverage happened and he had the freedom of space to find anyone who was cutting to the basket or wide open for 3. That's just the way that's his strength. And they played to that strength. So Thibs ain't going nowhere. You just have to hope that we give him things that counterbalance the negatives that he brings to the offense and opens up the spacing for our guys at RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson.
That's the thing, yo. Like, it's like, I'm still putting my money on Grimes. I know people, they see 1 year and they think this is who this player is. We still have to remember some of these guys. Well, this is Grimes' birthday, right? How old did he turn? 22? 23? That boy, 23 years old. All right. Grimes is going to be fine. He's going to be a 3-point shooter. Today, actually, he shot 42% from 3, So he's going to be fine. That's going to turn around. RJ Barrett, actually, 3 of 5 from 3. Pretty good. It was really Randle, yo. It was really Randle and Jalen Brunson, the guys who we leaned on who didn't really make threes. And I believe if Jalen Brunson had more time to rest, I think he would hit those threes later in the game, because you play 44 minutes and the way Brunson was getting thrown to the floor every play and not getting foul calls and stuff, like, you can tell looking at him when he shot the ball, there was no legs on his shot. So it was a wrap for him. But all that stuff is going to come. All that's going to come. All right. But I don't know. We can keep this short, man. I don't know, unless you guys want to add anything else.
I really think the team, Leon Rose, needs to improve his spacing in his starting lineup, most importantly, because if you look at the Heat's roster, the way they're constructed, yes, they hit a lot of off-balance threes from guys that have been, wouldn't necessarily have gotten picked up by any other team in the NBA, as they have 5 undrafted guys in their 10-man rotation. But the majority of it is because of a spacing that Kevin Love brings at the 5. And we right now don't have that guy. Isaiah Hartenstein is not a 3-point shooter, no matter how he was advertised. Yeah. Mitchell Robinson can't shoot a 3 in a real game scenario. And Randle and Obi are too streaky to count on them in a small ball situation with Randle, which Thibs won't even play anyways. Or really at the 4. They've been too streaky all season, especially in the postseason, that we need to make a decision on Randle or Obi as the future of the power forward. And I said this in the chat went wild before the playoffs, but that's going to be a discussion that I think the front office has. I'm not advocating either way. Mm-hmm. I just think that everyone on this roster, with the exception of Brunson, if the right trade comes along, should be available. I don't think there's anyone untouchable. With Brunson's probably the most untouchable, but if there's a package for Steph Curry, yeah, you make it. But I think everyone else, we need to really prioritize shooting, because that's where the NBA is trending. And right now we're trending against that with the way this roster is being built. There's potential with Quentin Grimes becoming a knockdown shooter, and RJ Barrett is becoming an improved shooter. But those are not the guys that you can depend on to really stretch the defense in the starting unit. It needs to be additional improvements made in this roster, and hopefully a person up front that's a knockdown veteran playoff experience guy who can just help stretch the defense from the 4 or 5 spot.
That's a very tough conversation to have because usually those knockdown shooters that you speak of are usually role players, usually. And for us to have the spacing, one of those role players would have to take place of, as you're talking, a star player, whether it would be Julius Randle or you know what I'm saying? So that's a very tough conversation to have, or a very tough equation to solve in an off season, in my mind. So it's rough. That's a rough. Like, I know we definitely need it. I know we definitely need 3-point shooting. But that's going to be an interesting problem to solve without a major shakeup.
Yeah, and I just want to add this one thing because I do agree. Knicks definitely do need to concentrate on shooting in this offseason if they can. But I think what people also have to take into account is, we do have shooters on this squad that kind of underperformed in the playoffs. Like, Grimes is a good 3-point shooter, and besides tonight, because tonight he did shoot pretty well from 3-point range, but overall in the playoffs, he's been subpar. The same thing with Quickly. Quickly's a pretty good 3-point shooter as well, but Quickly's been subpar as well. So could you imagine how this series would turn out if those guys were actually playing like themselves in the regular season? We probably wouldn't be down 3-1 right now.
Yeah,
it would probably be a whole completely different series. So I think we have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah,
Those two guys, they're still young, learning experience, being in the playoffs and things of that nature. So you would hope that as they mature, they'll get used to the pressure of the playoffs and play better, in seasons down the line. But yes, like, I do think that if there's some way for the Knicks to pick up a shooter, and not just any type of shooter, like a veteran shooter who can play defense and also doesn't shy away from the big moments and actually can knock down those big threes, I think the Knicks should make that move for that type of player, because they definitely do need somebody who they can depend on, that will knock down the big three, especially in those big situations. So I mean, like JL has said, it's a talk for the summer. It's, I think for the Knicks to make that kind of move, there definitely would have to be a shakeup. But you just have to wait and see. But the team definitely does need shooting going forward.
Yeah. I started off saying that, the Miami Heat have veterans who start in their role. So it's like, oh, these shoes are shooters, and I've been through the lumps, and now I know how to shoot with pressure in the playoffs. So, when I'm saying we might have more talent per se, but they're still kind of like underdeveloped talent. Those guys you speaking of in Grimes and Quickly, next season, they might be more on that level or close to that level of I'm a shooter in the regular season, and now I've faced that playoff pressure and I can do it in the playoffs as well. Also, funny enough, you said, hey, a guy who plays defense and shoots threes in the high pressure moments. That was supposed to be Josh Hart for us. I mean, listen, Josh Hart doesn't, here's the thing. Josh Hart doesn't really shoot threes at a high clip, but all season long when the pressure was on the line, he hit threes in a lot of big moments. Today he stank. Today he really stank. Granted, he got some fouls that maybe weren't really fouls, but today he stank, and he has been hesitant. He's been hesitant to shoot threes. So I don't know. That's why I said it's going to be rough, because it's obviously he's been really great for us. He's been a reason why our bench has been so good, and the Knicks are going to sign him next season, next off season. So, like, you sign a veteran defending off, a veteran defending 3-point shooter. You got to move somebody out the rotation. Who are you moving at? So it's going to be tricky. I don't even want to have that conversation of who right now, but it's just going to be tricky.
Yeah, I think this was a season for Tom Thibodeau to make some changes and evolve, and he did. And for the roster to gel and become a unit, to develop an identity. And I would say they did as well. This offseason is going to be the biggest for Leon Rose because unlike, it's Phil of his 20-year-old need with a guy that I'm guaranteed to be able to persuade in Jalen Brunson, he's going to have to make real serious decisions on who he's going to commit to at different positional needs. And I think those needs are going to be the 3, the 4, and possibly even the 5. I'm not advocating for one way or another, but I think this offseason is going to be all about Leon Rose and the choices that he makes. Most importantly, the extension for Emmanuel Quickly.
Yeah, shoot, and we still got another game, man. I know we talk about next season. This is the psyche of us right now. We still have another game to go. We need to repeat the effort that we had today, and do better on the boards. Pretty much.
Yeah, and I do think that, Knicks being at home should help them a bit. I do see the Knicks pulling out a win in Game 5. I'm hoping that's the case because I'm thinking with the home crowd behind them and the desperation, they should pull that out.
Yeah.
But the worry is Game 6 in Miami. That's the worry right there. Because if they win Game 5, can they overcome the pressure and win in Miami? And Games 3 and 4 showing that it's going to be really tough for them. So you gotta wait and see.
Salute to the chat. Shout out to Derek Avery, who just, give us a $5 super chat just because. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Derek Avery. All right, everybody else. Somebody said, bring back Alec Burks. Listen, man, I liked Alec Burks when he was in the uniform. I just hated the way Thibs used him, man. The Alec Burks would have definitely been playing point guard today. If he still was
Facts.
He definitely would have been playing point guard. Yeah.
Oh man, we probably would have been cursing the game even more.
Oh man. All right, I had to get a little bit of a chuckle out there. Anything else you want to talk about before we close out the
show? I think the only thing I gotta say is I'm just hoping that Game 5 at MSG. I'm just hoping that MSG is rocking.
Yeah.
Give these dudes all the energy that you can give them because they're gonna need it. I'm just hoping that the Knicks can just ride that crowd to give them the extra boost that they need to get over the Heat in Game 5 and just take it one game at a time. It doesn't, being down 3-1, we know that there's a low probability for the team that's down 3-1 to actually come back and win the series, but you take it a game at a time, you never know.
Never know. Hey, stranger things have happened in the NBA. You just never know, all right? We hoping that MSG crowd gives them the energy like the Goku spirit bomb type of situation. We hoping that's what's gonna happen for us when we get back to MSG. All right, but yo, thank you guys for watching, man. I'm gonna catch this Lakers versus Golden State. Shout out to everybody in chat, NBIC. Shout out to Sandman, the #1 Randle Club fan guy in the chat. I know you love Randle. Shout out to you, man. I'm gonna make her a KOT Randle tee, and I'm gonna send you a free one. Okay.
Hey, I see MBIC in the chat calling Tom Thibodeau number 31. I would love for MBIC to let us know what he would have done differently than Thibs in this game that would have made us win the game with certainty, because I can't think of a single thing schematically that Thibodeau would have done. I would love to hear MBIC, Thibs #1 hater, to educate us all on what he should have done that would have outlasted a Hall of Fame top 15 of all time coach in Eric Spoelstra. The floor is yours, MBIC.
Matter of fact, MBIC should call in. I think this is
you've been begging MBIC to call in
between Lee and MBIC. I think this would be a great conversation. So please call in.
Shut up. Please call in MBIC.
Shut up.
And it's funny, me and MBIC were two of the loudest fired Thibs people in the beginning of the season, but at some point you have to acknowledge that Thibs did evolve. If he hadn't evolved, that sign would be right behind me, loud and clear, written with red blood ink. But so call in, let's have a discussion, because I would love to hear his basketball acumen on what Thibs should have done to beat Eric Spoelstra this game.
Hold up, he's about to call it right now. Hold up.
Oh, man.
Do I have popcorn?
but you see, here's the thing though about people who hate on certain players and certain coaches. Like, they never want to give that player or that coach credit when they're actually doing well.
Yeah.
And they always wait until that coach is faltering or that player is faltering so that it fits their narrative.
No
So they
doubt.
can go in there, this player sucks, Randle, that coach sucks, Randle. And that's what I can't stand about those people, because they're not
Facts.
objective. They just have a straight hate for somebody, and no matter what that person does, it's just hate. They can
Yep.
never give somebody credit, even when that player or that coach does well. And that's
Jay
why
Ellis, would you ever imagine I would be on this side of a conversation?
No, hell has frozen
And
over.
I am not even a Tom Thibodeau fan. I understand why he's gotten fired from Minnesota and Chicago. At some point, he loses the team, and his approach becomes outdated. At some point, it's going to happen in New York. But the one thing that's happened here that didn't happen in the other two stops, he's evolved in ways that have gotten us to a 47-win season and got us out of the first round against a higher seeded team. The matchups and schematics he did in that series were elite. It was one of the best overachieves in that first round. Like, there's not anything to be upset at him about. He's getting outcoached by the second best coach in the NBA. Like, come on, man.
Listen, people were calling me a Tom Thibodeau guy, and I was just like, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I just feel like he shouldn't be fired. But people was like, you're the Tom Thibodeau, the cycle. I'm just like, I think he's cool, but I just don't think he should be fired. I don't think he's the best coach in the NBA. I just think it was like, it just doesn't make sense to fire him right now. But,
Yeah. At least man is on the line, though.
These man is on the line.
Oh, bring him in.
Let's
bring him in.
All right. In the left corner, weighing at 300 and some pounds, the number one Thibs hater on the KOT show is the one, the only MBIC.
Peace.
What's going on?
Now, I'm not a Thibs hater, dude. I'm just realistic, man. I mean, come on.
Okay. I see the signs.
I put this into perspective. Yesterday, I already told you, Thibs is not a playoff coach. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
You look at his record, he has a losing record as a playoff coach. I don't understand why everybody expects Tom Thibodeau to do this thing. We're praising him for benching Julius Randle. Like, this whole season, he's an enabler. We already know that Julius Randle is not the man. He's a all-star player. He has talent, but he's not. We're trying to put him in a place where this dude has mental health issues. How do we expect him to play, to step up to the challenge right now? And as far as Thibs, he's been doing this the whole season. You can't get a player like Julius Randle and not know how to mold him or push his buttons to get him to do what you want him to do. He can't do that. He's an enabler.
Okay.
And I told people before, I'm gonna let you. Just let me say this, because everybody's saying I'm a Thibs hater. It's not. Is when Tom Thibodeau made it to the playoffs. The Eastern Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
He beat an interim coach in what's his name? The Pacers coach. I forgot his name. I can't think of his name.
Rick Carlisle.
But he was intern. No, it wasn't Rick Carlisle. It was the one that the Lakers coach that got fired.
Oh, Vogel.
It was an intern, Vogel, and he beat Larry Drew, and he lost to Eric Spoelstra. He does not know how to play in the postseason.
Okay.
He does not utilize the players. That's what I'm saying. He's been doing this the whole season.
Question.
And everybody knows what he's going to do.
Question.
So if you know, this is what I'm saying. They know what he's going to do. Coach Spoelstra knew everything he was going to do, and he knows he's not a good in-game decision maker. And that's what he does. This is what he does.
You're telling us everything that we've been hearing for the last,
yes.
What today? Knicks versus Heat today. What would you have done differently today?
He could have made different looks. Okay, the whole thing about it is we kept. Now, mind you, and I wasn't a big. I wasn't trying to get Mitchell. Like, I wasn't on that bandwagon. I think that was a crazy trade.
Mm-hmm.
But you kept Grimes out of that trade. How much is Grimes average?
You talking about points?
Yeah. How much did he
Are we
average?
talking about trades? Or are we talking about what would
No. I'm
Yeah,
asking you a question. How much does Grimes average?
what, like 9 points a game or 10 points a game?
Okay. So
I
we
think it was
kept
11
Grimes
to 8
out of, and I'm not saying, I want you to hear my point. I'm not saying that we should have traded Grimes and we should have traded for Donovan Mitchell. But we made such a big deal out of Grimes. Grimes, I believe he has potential, but he's not utilized. He averages 9 points a game. You mean to tell me that when you're ISOing, you can't kick it out to Grimes? You can't find a way for him to average at least 10 to 15 points a game? This is what I'm saying. During the regular season, he does not utilize players. You have issues with defense, right? Why isn't your best on the ball defender next to Grimes is who? Deuce. Why not Deuce? Why isn't Deuce playing? This is do or die, and you don't have Deuce playing. You're not changing up anything. You're not giving Miami different looks.
So okay, I'm just
This
making.
is what I'm trying to say.
So you want more Deuce? You said you want more Deuce McBride to play. That's what you're saying. Today you wanted more Deuce and you wanted more
look.
Grimes. But Grimes played today.
You find more ways to get Grimes involved. He's a 3-point shooter. He was shooting 40%. Why is he not shooting the ball more? You're supposed to get him. And this is what I'm saying. Everybody knows that it's an ISO heavy system. Okay, this is what we do. So what do you think Spoelstra is going to do? You're saying that he's a Hall of Fame coach. You're saying that you think that he's not going to be prepped for that? You can't stop Jimmy. Jimmy got a bad ankle.
Okay, so
you don't go at him. Look at this is what I'm saying. Obvious things. You change it up. You know, everybody knows what Tom Thibodeau was going to do. You change it up. He has a ton of talent on this team, and they're not being utilized. Obi Toppin, you don't utilize him. Why are you not running more? You got Obi Toppin. You're starting Josh Hart. Why? Because he's successful? No, you don't. He's not a starter. He is a bench player. Listen, I love the Josh Hart trade, but he always rides people, and everybody knows. We know it,
okay,
and everybody
all right.
else knows it.
Okay,
and they always adjust.
All right. I appreciate you, man. I don't know. What do you have to say to that, Lee? I'm saying out.
Grimes took them in the course of the playoffs. Grimes took the most shots in the entire playoffs tonight. It was a playoff high 8 shots tonight, and Grimes actually probably had his best all-around game as well, with 9 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. So I think Grimes was integrated into the offense, but you can't win a game by running offense through Quentin Grimes. That's what not even Quentin Grimes' role right now, and his role shouldn't be in his second year in the NBA to have the offense ran through him in a playoff game. A do or die game 4 is an absurd proclamation. Neither should it be ran through Miles McBride. The offense should be ran through RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson, with everyone else being a secondary option or tertiary option within a set play. So there's nothing schematically that Thibs could have done, because he gave Darius McBride an opportunity to show what he could bring to the offense, and it was nothingness. Defensively, he was fine, but it wasn't anything any better than what Quentin Grimes and Josh Hart was doing defensively. So at least they gave you the offensive component of the ball. Quentin Grimes was integrated. Not only was he integrated, he started. Thibs made the change that everyone on Twitter was saying, bench Josh Hart, start Quentin Grimes. He did. And then Grimes played extended minutes. He finished the game. What more do you want? Obi Toppin was ass tonight. You don't bench Julius Randle and put Obi Toppin in. Not only do you lose, now you get blown out. There's nothing that Thibs could have done differently to outclass the second best coach in the NBA, not in the playoffs, in the NBA. This man has 2 rings for a reason. He's in the playoffs perennially for a reason. He's about to hit the conference finals 3 times in the last 4 years for a reason. He's an elite coach. He got Jimmy Butler and a bunch of bums in the finals for a reason. You got me defending Tom Thibodeau. Bro, hell done freeze over, man. This is ridiculous.
Lee, the Tom Thibodeau lover, all right? Tom Thibodeau, the cycle, all right?
Oh, man. I mean, honestly, yo, like, I was listening to the whole thing, I was like, I don't think, like, I mean, NBIC ain't got nothing against dude. You know, dude's a cool dude, but I'm just like,
I
yo,
love him.
I'm just there listening to the whole like diatribe about Thibodeau in Game 4, what he would have done differently, and I didn't hear anything substantial where I'm like, you know what, yeah, that's a good point. You know, maybe Thibs could have done that. Like Lee said, like Grimes was integrated into the offense. He took 7 threes. Like what? He want to take 15 threes? Like I don't understand. Like I don't get it. Like I don't get the point he's trying to make there. And then it's like, you know, give the Miami Heat different looks and this and that. Like, yeah, Thibs did give the Miami Heat different looks tonight. He put Josh Hart back to the bench.
Yeah.
Put Grimes to the starting lineup. Grimes played 42 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
Grimes wasn't even hitting 20 minutes in the previous game.
They did all sorts of coverages today. They had Mitch helping on Jimmy. I saw some people saying Mitch is playing lazy all of a sudden. Mitch wasn't playing lazy in the second half. Mitch was staying home on Bam because Bam was killing us in the first half. He wasn't playing lazy, guys.
And they stopped doubling Jimmy around the perimeter. They just gave him single coverage on the perimeter, and then they threw that second defender on him once he crossed the free throw line, which is exactly how you should play him, because at that point, he's in prime position to either score off the dribble or pass as a playmaker. I thought Thibs defended Jimmy as best you could and really limited Jimmy. Matt Strus was hitting Klay Thompson threes. You can't guard that. Caleb Martin was dunking from the free throw line. You can't stop that. Come on, man.
Yeah, like it's really. I'll give NBIC small. I'll give him a little bit of bail. I'll give him like $5 worth of bail. The only thing I've been begging for all season that hasn't been done is Grimes off ball shooting, like having Grimes run off of screens. That's the only thing I'll say. I've always wanted all season. Everything else though, I feel like Thibs pretty much had his hands tied today. That's just me, man.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, they did have a play where Grimes did run off screens, but he never took the shot though. Because I was expecting, I think it was a play. I'm not sure. I don't remember what quarter it was, but Grimes basically ran off 2 screens.
That's what's up.
And he got fed the ball. I thought he was gonna pull up for 3 because I was like, he had the wide open shot, but he never took the shot. He just pretty much just dribbled the ball and then just passed it off. And I was like, and I'm thinking that, okay, if Grimes is running off 2 screens, I'm thinking that he's gonna shoot the shot because there's a reason why they have him running off 2 screens to get him an open shot, and he ends up not shooting it.
Yeah, that's something probably gonna have to practice in the offseason, because the first time I actually even seen them do that was in the Cavs game, like game 2 or 3 of the Cavs game. I was like, oh my God. They ran Grimes off they had like Grimes run from right to left, and then they set like a small screen, and then they passed the ball on the cross. Like, oh my God, this is a set play for Grimes. And I almost lost my shit. And then he got injured. So hopefully he practices that more in the offseason. Fritz says he wants to call in. Fritz, you got something to say? Go ahead. I know you want to speak on Thibs. All right.
Yeah,
I know Thibs is a Thibs. Fritz is the Thibs hater. I already know that. What's going on?
Actually, I'm not gonna kill Thibs today.
Okay.
I just don't think you can question his like individual decisions. I think his individual decisions are fine. I think just after the season, when it's all done, that's when you review what he did for the season, what he made changes in the season. The Knicks have to make a choice of what they want to do going forward. It more has to do with style, development style, not individual decisions. So I don't. People want to nitpick. That's not what you want to do. You have to think: do the Knicks expect more next time around? So
right.
Does Thibs have to add something to his game? Do they think he can add that to his coaching style? At that point, that's when you need to make a decision. It's not about this game, what happened in game 4. That has nothing to do with it. He did the best way he did. He did exactly what you expected him to do. And he did a good job. Like, the shots just wasn't falling.
Yeah,
the rebound, he what he's going to say? Try harder?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. I think those decisions will come in the off season, but it's going to be more about style, not what he did in game 4 of the second round.
Yeah, that's a part of me. Even if I'm thinking about next season, I'm like, a part of me just wants to unless some big obvious change comes where like some superstars coming, a part of me just wants to like let this group cook a little bit more because there's so many young pieces here. You know what I mean? A part of me just want to be like, you know what? Let's cook, keep this group together, see if the chemistry can grow to another level, see if people's roles can get even more, solidified, and then make it a part of me is thinking that, but that's just me.
I will say that Leon Rose does not seem to be content. We signed Brunson, and he still tried to trade for Donovan Mitchell. We had Brunson. We were having a great season, and he still tried to trade for Zach LaVine at the deadline. People forget about that Zach LaVine trade. That was at the end zone, almost happening, and then he wouldn't include Grimes, so the deal fell apart. So he's gone after Donovan. He's gone after Zach LaVine. This summer, he's going after somebody else. He can take to the bank for sure.
I know he is. I definitely know he's going to go after somebody else. Will it be the right decision?
That's the question.
Is the question.
I don't think Zach LaVine's the right answer, or Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, like I don't know if we just want to go after a name to be just because it's a name. Like, of course, Zach LaVine is amazing. Like, Zach LaVine is still a dog. I still feel like Knicks fans underrate him. But at the same time, like I don't know if giving up the farm for Zach LaVine is the right decision. But yeah, we still got another game to play though. We still have another game to play. So
Facts. I would definitely jump in the gun with the summer talk, knowing that the series is not over yet, and like we said, where the things has happened. 3-1 down is not a high probability to win that series, but things has happened in the past where things that you don't expect happen. So you just gotta wait and see.
Exactly. You gotta wait and see. Thanks for calling in, BIC. Thanks for calling in, even though thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Sandman said he's calling in next. Haters night on Monday night.
Haters night. Oh man, we having the haters ball tonight. Hate.
Monday night haters ball. We can put it on Twitter. All the haters, call in, get your hate takes off. All right. Oh man, I think I just want to see lead battle callers. I think that'll be entertaining.
I can't believe, like, if you would told me 5 months ago I'd be defending Thibs against callers, especially NBIC.
Oh my god,
who was in the choir with me to fire Thibs. But I mean, I don't have a personal vendetta against Thibs. I don't call him 31. I don't hate him as a man or a person. I think he's a very, very, very good regular season coach. But his 4-10 playoff record proves that he's an average playoff coach, and he absolutely has his flaws. 0-7 when you're down 2-1 is not a good record to have.
If you would have told me 2 months ago that Lee would turn into a Thibs intern, I would have never believed you. All right.
I am not a Thibs intern. Thibs interns will not accept me into their trust me. Most Thibs interns hate my ass. Get that dart board with my face on it.
Leave the part of the coaching staff. Leave the video guy.
Oh man, yeah, the Thibs video guy. You're the Thibs video. Oh man, Thibs video guy is funny. All right. Tib turn. Oh my god. All right, that was a nice little chuckle. All right, I got nothing else, man. I got nothing. Rebound more, less turnovers. More focused on the defense. Julius Randle pissed me off in spots today. I'm not gonna hold you. He pissed me off in spots. I'm watching Mitch Robinson out here battling people, risking life and letting the block shots, and then I'm watching Randle not run back on defense. I'm just like, bruh.
Yeah.
I mean, but there wasn't like whole big stretches of that, but there was just like moments where I'm just like, you can give it a little bit more, just a little bit more. Free throws, we gotta hit free throws. It's like little things, man. Little things. Just little things.
Yeah, also Randle needs to take care of the ball better too. 6 turnovers is not a good look.
Yeah,
He needs to take over he needs to take care of the ball better as well.
Yeah, 6 turnovers is not good at all. It's not good. I know we got that. Some of these foul calls was woof.
Yeah.
The foul against Josh Hart because he ran into Kyle Lowry's elbow was crazy.
Yeah, there were a lot. There were a lot of questionable calls in that game. To be
There
real,
was a lot. Jimmy got the supers. Woo, it was for like the
Yes, he
first
did.
half.
Yes, he
Grimes
did.
was just like, "What do I even do? Like, what do I even do?" I feel like even like the beginning of the third quarter, there was a moment where Jimmy just went straight to the hole. I think they just got out the way because they didn't want to get a foul. Like it was just like, if I just breathe on them, they don't call a foul on me, so I'm gonna just move out the way. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, next game we'll see. We come back to New York, baby. We gotta be ready. We gotta be cursing. We gotta bring it to the Heat. So let's get it. All right.
Yeah, the Nets game is it's a pride thing.
Yeah.
If you lose a series at home in MSG, man, there's gonna be a lot of people calling for a lot of people's heads this summer. It's gonna be knee-jerk reaction city, baby.
Knee-jerk. Twitter is knee-jerk reaction.
It is.
That's all that is.
facts.
That's all that is. All right, that is our show. This is a good time to end it. Louis, let them know they can find you, sir.
On Twitter @_Lee Thibodeau. I've been trying to like pause on fighting with Knicks fans, but man, they just be in my DMs, just like
To be in your DMs.
wanting to smoke, man. I'm like fighting 5 of them right now. Just like talking about firing Thibs and trade Randle and
Just tell them to
I'm
call
like,
in. Just give it.
I'm like, bro, man, like
Just call. I'll be like, I don't have the energy to be typing all day, yo. I don't have the type
just
stamina.
so miserable, you know? People are so miserable. I'm not a Tibbs fan, but we don't replace them with, man. It don't matter who you replace them with, we lose the series.
Here's the thing, Lee. Even if you're not a Tibbs fan or a fan of person, if you challenge somebody who has an extreme view, to them you're a fan.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you feel like your approach is measurable or not. The fact that you're not as far off the deep end as they are, in their brain, you're a fan. So
it's also absurd just to look the way Leon Rose operates in the relationship he has with Tom Thibodeau. There's no way he's going to be fired in this contract.
No,
like, he probably won't be re-signed, but there's no way he's going to be fired. That would run counter to everything Leon Rose has done since being president of basketball operations.
Yeah, I've been saying that for years, Ryan. I've been saying that for years. Like, Tibbs is Leon's boy. He's not just going to be rid of him. It's not happening. They go
I've
back.
said that all season too. Even when I said fire him, I said he won't be fired. I knew he wouldn't be fired. I just wanted him fired.
Exactly.
I knew he wouldn't.
You're
You're right. They're besties, man.
Exactly. They besties. They best friends. They got matching lower back tattoos. They best friends forever.
Oh, hell yeah.
Tramp stamps.
Oh, man.
Love it, bro.
You probably got, one half is the other half, and you put them together, and then, form like Voltron on, when they put their backs. Never mind.
My cheek, your cheek.
Exactly. You put the cheeks together and form the heart. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a lot of cheek.
God damn.
You need a pause.
That's a big pause right there.
Big pause.
President the boss said, "Let the Kenny A or Mike Bud rumors begin." Didn't Mike Bud lose the third sports?
That's what I'm saying. He
Team.
he lost to the Heat at 5. And they have Giannis.
Y'all complaining about Tibbs not adjusting, and you want to bring Bud in.
Yep.
His own players said after the series was over, lack of adjustments were made. Like, come on now.
Come on, son. There's no obvious answer for coach anywhere.
Yo, I don't know how accurate this is. Playbook Sports, I don't know if that's a real account, said Knicks power forward Julius Randle and coach Tom Thibodeau were heard having a heated verbal exchange following their Game 4 loss against the Heat. It might be clickbait.
That sounds like some BS.
Yeah, it does sound like some BS, but if it really did happen, I'm glad. They need
to
find their ass.
They should
find their ass right now.
And if there's anyone that should be arguing, it's those two.
Yeah.
For sure. Run back on defense. Ice. I'm gonna go see if it's actually real or not. But yeah, that's the show, man. Hope you guys
Wait, hold up. I ain't say my socials yet.
My bad. Ryan G.
Yeah, and I also got some smoke for someone in the chat because I see that we have some unwanted visitors in the chat. So first and foremost, you can find me on Instagram at Sir G is chilling.
Sir G is chilling.
That's SIR. G is CHILLI. And you can also find me at Sir G's Corner. You can also find me on Twitter at RyanGKOT. And for that random ass Heat fan that came into our chat talking about Heat in 5, sir, do you have nothing better to do than to go into Knicks content creators chats and trying to rile up some crap? Like, you don't have anything better to do? Aren't you in South Beach? Ain't the beach right there? Go outside and check out some women. Like, yo, why are you in a Knicks content creator chat trying to cause trouble? My guy, all I gotta tell you is go out there, look at some women, but I know about the women in Miami. Check it. Make sure.
Pause. Oh man.
Oh man.
I know there's too many thoughts in Miami for him to be in this chat trying to disrupt us, man. Go enjoy the thoughts, bro.
Oh my.
It's thought summer.
Oh, I'm about to say something, but I want to lose the channel. All right, that's the show. That's the show. All right. I got some Cleveland there, so that all right. Good show, guys. Good shows, and you know, it's funny. Heat fans were in the chat heavy last post game, but I welcome the smoke. It's cool. It's fun. All good fun. All right, that's our show. You can find us at. I'm gonna let you know the. Where are you? All right. Yeah, you can find us. Oh, yeah, here. Get the snapbacks, though. KOT, snapbacks, @thenicktimeshow.com. All you got to do is go there, hit catalog, boom, snapbacks, black and white and blue and orange. Also, follow us on the KOT Show on Twitter, the Knick of Time Show on Instagram, and the Knick of Time Show on Facebook as well. Also, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher is where you can listen to our pod. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, though, you can listen to us. So definitely check those places out and, you know, like it and give us good reviews and all that other stuff. All right. So shout out to the listeners and thank you for supporting us. All right. That is our show. You know what it is. We back for the next game. Hopefully we get the next win. All right. But that's our show. And as always,
shout out the Worldwide West. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
It's a mess out here in these Knicks YouTube streets. That's our show. We out of here. Hire Thibs.
York, New York, big city of dreams.